he was such a big Hachnasa Orchim that in Shemayim, they decided that they wanted to give him a chance to pass a very big test. So the Satan says, I'll go and test him. And Eliyahu Hanavi said, it's better if I go test him. No, I guess Eliyahu Hanavi was like, don't get involved over here. Better if I go. So we're going to say a few stories of Hachnasas Orchim. The first one is a very famous story about the Baal Shem Tov's father. Rebbe Eliezer was his name. And he lived in a certain city, in a certain village, and he always had guests. He was very well known to have guests. Huh?
Couples.
Okay.
Basically means trench.
And he had special people who he would send just to find people who were passers-by and to bring them into the Mamash like Avraham Avinu, to find people to bring them in. And after he gave them food and drink, he would also give them gifts, and food for them to go on their way. Now, he was such a big Hachnasa Orchim that in Shemayim, they decided that they wanted to give him a chance to pass a very big test. So, I find it very interesting that there's like a number one, it's Rebbe Eliezer. His name is Rebbe Eliezer, and it's Avram's servant, same name, whatever. And then you have also the fact that he's big Hachnasa Orchim, and they're testing him from Shemayim. So the Satan says, I'll go and test him. And Eliyahu Hanavi said, it's better if I go test him. No, I guess Eliyahu Hanavi was like, don't get involved over here. Better if I go. So in Shemayim they decided to let Eliyahu Hanavi go. And Eliyahu Hanavi came on Shabbos, already in the afternoon, looking like some poor man, walking with a stick and with his backpack, with his bag. Now, a person who's arriving at that time on Shabbos for sure was traveling on Shabbos, and he's carrying, and he's walking past the Tchum. He's doing a few things that are Pasha, straight up Chil Shabbos, and he walks in and he says, "Shabbos Tova, good Shabbos." Now, all the guests at Rebbe Eliezer house see this guy, right away they're like, who's this Michal Shabbos? Who's this Shegitz? Here it's very bekitzer, but we heard this story many times as kids, yeah? All the guests right away were not treating him well, but Rebbe Eliezer came, put him and sat him down next to him, and gave him a lot of honor, gave him a lot of kavod. He started to feel very bad because all the guests were saying very not nice things about this guest. And he felt so bad, he went into his room. He couldn't handle it. But then he thought to himself, 1 second, I'm here. I'm leaving this guest alone with all these people. They're going to devour him. They're going to humiliate him even more than they were before. So he comes back out, and he's with him the entire time, giving him attention, all the way until Lama Malka, like we're having over here. Baruch Hashem, everyone here is Shemesh Shabbos, I think. And the next day, on Sunday, he gave him a big sum of money. And he never mentioned to him anything about his being Mechal Shabbos. He didn't even give him words of chizuk, like, maybe you should keep Shabbos. He just gave him love. And when Eliyahu Hanavi saw how kind he was, he revealed himself as Eliyahu Hanavi, and he said, I am really Eliyahu Hanavi, and I came to test you, and because you withstood this test, and you didn't embarrass me, and you're so kind to all your guests, you're going to have a son who is going to light up the eyes of all the Yidden. And of course, the bracha of Eliyahu Hanavi was fulfilled, and Rebbe Eliezer gave birth to a Ben Zachar, who grew up to be the Baal Shem Tov.
Now, here's something that you didn't know. He did not have any kids, and they really, really wanted kids. Now, his name is Eliezer. I think his wife's name was Sarah, yeah. And the interesting thing is that according to certain versions of how this goes, because obviously Baal Shem Tov being the leader and the founder of Hasidus, the Hasidic movement, clearly you have a bunch of other branches going out of that. So you have from the Magna going out a bunch of other places where you could have a tradition of these stories. In some versions, they say that he was 100 years old, Eliezer, and his wife was 90.
I remember that. Yes.
And so it fits perfectly with Avraham and Sarah. And the soul of the Baal Shem Tov actually has, his soul has a whole story as well of which soul he was and etc. But the point is that the Baal Shem Tov was a Gilgal, and the purpose of him actually coming was in order to shine a brand new light into the world, one that would be on the basis of Avos Yisrael, and Yidden being more with each other, basically. Either way, yeah.
Okay, here's another story, another short story. In a certain village, there was a guy who had an inn.
But not enough.
What? And not an out. He did not have an in and out. In and outs are not kosher, but he had an inn, and he had a good life. He lived a good life. Now, one time there was a group of chassidim who were going on the way to the Rebbe, the Kosov, or the Chaim of Kosov. And it was very, very late, in the middle of the night, and the chassidim wanted to go to his house. So they banged on the door and they asked to open. The Balabayas, he acted as if he didn't hear anything. He didn't want to open. It was late. We would go and make a fire and do the whole thing. He was okay, so the chassidim were very, very embittered by this. It was very cold. It was raining, and this rain is pouring down on the entire night. What can they do? So they keep on going. In the morning, they came to Kosov, and we came to the Rebbe to say hi. The Rebbe asked them how their journey was. And so they told him everything, including the fact that this Yid didn't open up the door for them. So the Rebbe said he's going to, Seifel Yisarach LaKoyin, in the end he's going to need a Koyin. I think it's like saying, the Metzera needs a Koyin. Even though it wasn't a Metzera, he's going to need help. So, not too many days passed, and this particular Yid comes to the Kosovo Rebbe, and he's very, 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 very big not good predicament he's in. What happened? The Paritz of where he was told him that in 3 months he must leave, and no matter what he said, no matter how much he begged, he wasn't listening, and so he came to the Rebbe of Kosov to figure out what to do. So the Rebbe says to him, really, I always didn't understand, I never understood it. How could it be a guy like you who lives in a faraway village? He davens without a minyan, he doesn't go to mikveh, he doesn't say Amen, he doesn't answer to Kedusha, he doesn't say Baruch Hu, he doesn't hear Kriyas HaTorah. How is he fulfilling his obligation to God? But I realized that because Hachnasas Orchim is greater than Kabbalas Mishchina, right? We learned from Avram Avinu that he was talking to Hashem and he stopped. He said, Hashem, wait a second, I'm going to go get guests. He says, so Hachnasas Orchim, having guests, is greater than even being Makabel, the Shechina, right?
Wait, God, I have guests.
Exactly. So, and because he has so much Hachnasas Orchim, where he is, so that overrides everything. So even though he's not doing all these important things, Hachnasas Orchim is greater, so therefore Hashem says, no, you're good. You're doing something much greater. So therefore, whenever you were doing the mitzvah like you're supposed to, so the merit of this mitzvah kept you in good standing. And no one could do anything wrong to you. But now I heard about you, and people came to you, and you don't take them into your house. So then what right do you have to live in this village? You should live in the big city, with all the Chachamim, daven in a minyan 3 times a day, go to mikveh before davening, like Chassidim do, because anyways not doing anyways not doing Hachnasas Orchim. So this guy says, crying, he says, Rebbe, help me. Like, okay, what do I got to do? So he said, the Rebbe tells him like this: you have to accept upon yourself from today onward that your house is going to be open to everybody, and then Hashem will return you to how you were before, and no one will bother you. And so he did that, and he was makabel on himself this, he took it upon himself, and he actually took it in action. He did it. He started to bring in everybody he can. And the word of the parts changed his mind. And everything was good. So we should merit the miracles, and we should merit to have our hearts open to give to all of our brothers and sisters, and it should bring us to Mashiach right away, right now. Karev Mamish and Agudvach, thank you for watching, thank you for joining. Like and subscribe. And Yoni wants to add something.
I want to add something with regard to last week's story.
What was last
And the
week's
first
story?
The Galach.
What was last week's story?
Last week's story with Galach and Rabbi Yaakov.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did the Galach end up being a Jew hater, right?
What happened?
I'm not sure if this is how you told it.
I didn't say this part because I don't know.
He became. This is how the story is told in certain storybooks.
Circles.
But this is actually how they would treat kids that did not treat Judaism with the proper respect that they felt, and this is how they would treat anybody. Really, they would put them in a little cage next to the base medrash, next to shul, and they would put the kid or the adult, whoever it was, and they would pass by whoever was the Mechal Shabbos or whatever it was, and just basically either give him a curse or taunt him or throw something at him or spit at him and say, you're a goy, a shagets, a goy. Anyone that walked by. So that was the culture then. And this guy that came in on Shabbos by the Tchum, he was looked at not as just a shagets. He had nothing to do with Judaism. Right. He was a person that belonged in the cage. Now, this is obviously like, oh man, child abuse, adult abuse, whatever it is, but this is how they worked back then, and this is, I'm sure, also, not just in the Jewish religion they had this, they had it in many other things. So that's why the guy became a Gala. So what I'm saying is about what Rabbi Eliezer did with the Baal Shem Tov's father, when he was being Mekarav and being extra warm and liking, and this is the complete, it's straight up Hasidus before Hasidus. Either way, a good like and subscribe and watch more videos. Watch more of these videos. It'll do you good.
What he said.
What he said.
1 second. So that's why they smash the like button. Subscribe now. We need more.